Democrat-dominated cities across our nation are imploding. In this video, we're going to take a look at the utter social ruin that has become our nation's urban centers and why the Democrat-led defund and disband effort bent on dismantling law enforcement is only going to guarantee their continued demise. You are not going to want to miss this. Greetings, everyone. Dr. Steve here. I certainly hope you're all doing well. I look forward to this time with you each and every single day. If this is your first time with us and you're looking for some daily encouragement and optimism in the midst of all the nonsense that's spewed from our left-wing Marxist media, you've found your oasis in this channel. We analyze current events, analyze some super awesome conservative trends so you can live in the present in light of even better things to come. So if you haven't already done so, you know what to do. Make sure to smack that subscribe button. It'd be an absolute privilege to have you as a regular part of this channel, where each and every day we have the privilege of together celebrating the inevitable collapse of left-wing globalism and the unstoppable rise of a new conservative age. Also, I am very excited to announce we've got a few exciting announcements going on this week. I did not forget. But I'm excited to announce that we have a new site on Parler, the Twitter-like alternative platform, which I want to encourage you to join. You have to join Parler first, sign up for it, and then please subscribe and follow my channel. I'll provide a link down below there with all the crazy deplatforming ways we've been seeing, which we just talked about in our last video. We need to have an alternative way of staying in touch with one another, and Parler is a great free speech alt-text site. We already have over 5,000 followers. I've only got a couple of posts up there. We just started this weekend, so it's really exciting. So make sure to join us over at Parler right now before you do anything else. Let's begin with our video chat question of the day. I think this is an interesting one. If you live in an American city, do you plan to move out? Let us know in the comments section below. If you live in an American city, do you plan on leaving anytime soon? Because if you do, you're not alone. We're going to see how this pandemic crisis, along with the latest round of race riots, have all but consigned our cities and urban areas to the ash heap of history. But before we get into it any longer, if you're looking for an encouraging and hopeful alternative, all the fake news that's being spewed out there on a daily basis from the leftist likes of CNN and the MSNBC and the New York Times, you're going to find no better antidote to that than what's in the pages of my book, The Return of Christendom. Gang, do not take my word for it. Just read through over 150 reviews on Amazon, and you'll see how this book cuts through all the cynicism and despair that we so often feel living in this crazy globalist world. And what it's going to do is it's going to inspire you. And it's going to give you the hope you need to look at the world in a whole new light. And this is not just, Pollyanna. Page after page of data, statistics, indicators that show nothing less than the rise of a new conservative Christian majority emerging throughout the United States and Europe. And it's already transforming the world map into a more nationalist, populist, and traditionalist world. And if you click on the link below right now, we're offering it at a limited time at a 50% discount. That's right, 50% off. So don't wait. This is a limited time offer. Click on that link and get your book at a super discount today and arm yourself with the information you need to crush fake news once and for all. All right, gang, let's dive right in here. Look, there's really no two ways around this. We are seeing nothing less than the full implosion of Democrat-run cities. You probably heard the hilarious attempt by the left-wing Marxist media to try to contradict President Trump's assertion that all the cities that are currently rotting in our nation are all under Democrat rule. Did you see that? It was utterly hilarious. The Washington Post actually ran a story complaining, whining, that the president keeps claiming that the most dangerous cities in America are all run by Democrats, but they're not. He's wrong. The most rotting and degenerating cities they claim in our nation are emphatically not all run by Democrats, right? They're saying that's not true. These leftist activists disguised as journalists at the Washington Post actually tried to argue this. And guess what they found? Well, Trump said that you look at the 20 most violent, horrific cities in the nation, and all 20 are run by Democrats. The 20 out of 20, that's what Trump claimed. And so this left-wing activist disguised as a journalist over at the Washington Post went out to prove Trump wrong. And so what he did is he compiled a list of the 20 most violent cities in the nation, according to FBI statistics, which showed cities with the most violent crime in total, as well as the most violent crime per capita. And the article listed them all out. And what you see is city after city after city after city after city are all run by Democrats. Of the top 20 most violent cities outright, 17 of the 20 were run by Democrats, 2 by an independent. Although I'm sure the city councils there are dominated by Democrats. The only one they could point to, the only one was Jacksonville, Florida, run by a Democrat with run by a Republican with a Republican city council. None of the 20 most violent cities per capita had a Republican government. Not one. And yet these cultural Marxists at the Washington Post thought they were debunking Trump. So obviously the Post is being ruthlessly mocked, even by other journalistic outfits. I mean, this was utterly silly on their part. But it is true, as President Trump said, that if you encounter a city that is dilapidated and total disrepair and ruin, that's infested with violence and poverty and drug abuse, you could be virtually guaranteed that you have encountered a fully Democrat-run monopolist city. And it's getting worse. Now, I know a lot of us are very upset and discouraged by what's going on in our nation right now. But we have to understand that no one is experiencing the total collapse of society more than those living in our nation's dying cities. The simple fact of the matter is that President Trump is not just right about most violent cities in the nation virtually being run by all being run by Democrats. He's also right about how they've all socially imploded and collapsed. Do you remember when President Trump skewered at the time the late Congressman Elijah Cummings, who represented the city of Baltimore? Trump called Cummings a brutal bully to Border Patrol officials because the whole border, what he was doing was saying that life on the border was so bad and so horrible. And Trump is like, look at your own district. It's one of the worst rat-infested districts in the entire nation. And so here's Elijah Cummings screaming at the great men and women of Border Patrol about the conditions of the southern border, when in point of fact, the conditions are far worse in his own Baltimore district that he represents, which is considered one of the worst in the United States. Well, of course, Trump was immediately lambasted, he's accused of being racist, bigot, and, the whole thing. But then Todd Starnes over at Fox News pointed out that according to pest control statistics, Baltimore is in fact one of the single most rat-infested cities in the United States. It ranks 6 overall. And as he notes, all the top 10 rat-infested cities are all controlled by Democrats, which gives a whole new meaning to the word demo rats, does it not? All right. These Democrat-run cities are all crime-ridden, drug-infested, rat-infested. They're now, as a direct result of these riots, they're going on in cities across the nation. They're finally imploding. Take a look at this. In Chicago, a city run by an ultra-left, Trump-hating Democrat mayor. If you can believe this, 52 people were shot over the weekend in Chicago alone. 14 people, including a 20-month-old boy and a 10-year-old girl, were killed. 52 people shot. Look at this one. In Atlanta, traffic stops are down 80%, while total arrests have plummeted 71%. Atlanta cops have just simply stopped policing. They've walked off the job. It's not worth it anymore. Minneapolis has had over 1,600 gunfire reports in the last 30 days. In Tampa, cops were ambushed by a black mob when they responded to a shooting in a black neighborhood. And in New York City, shootings have doubled since the anti-police riots began. I mean, what do you even say to this? How are we seeing so-called social justice enacted in these Democrat-dominated cities? Is it any wonder that Black Americans are actually the most concerned about defunding and disbanding police departments? That's something you're not going to hear from the Washington Post, are you? They're too busy trying to daily discredit President Trump. According to Rasmussen, nearly 70% of blacks are concerned about a shortage of police officers in their communities. But don't tell that to their Democrat politicians. They're too busy dismantling law enforcement because somehow for some insane reason, that's just going to increase the safety of their citizens. That's why New York City's ultra-left mayor, Bill de Blasio, has proposed cutting $1 billion from the city's police department budget. Again, because somehow that's going to contribute to the safety of more New Yorkers. Needless to say, it's being widely reported that New York City is spiraling out of control. It's going into a full-blown death spiral. I grew up in the greater New York area in Connecticut. We've talked about this before. My sister ended up living in Brooklyn, working in Manhattan. Many of my high school friends went on to establish their careers in New York City. They loved it. No longer. They're out of there. They don't want anything more to do with this collapsing dystopia. Bloomberg estimates that people are relocating out of New York City at the rate of more than 300 per day. Thousands of people a week are permanently moving out of New York City. Things are so bad, we talked about this last week, things are so bad that even New York's prestigious private prep schools, their posh upper-class private schools, may actually have to close their doors. And that's because wealthy families are relocating out of the city of New York, and they're going to the New York and Connecticut suburbs and have no plans of returning back to the city. They're looking at the posh public schools in the suburbs, as viable alternatives to these $30,000 a year city, prep schools. Life outside the city is considered more and more, by more and more people, safer and healthier. But it's not just New York that's in a death spiral. Every city in America, every Democrat-run city in America is beginning to completely and totally rot. We talked about this last week. Seattle's just lost $1 billion investment company. Smead Capital Management's announced that they're moving their headquarters from the insanity of Seattle to the far more sane and more affordable Camelback Corridor of Phoenix. The president and CEO of the investment company, Cole Smead, he did in fact confirm in an interview that the social unrest that's plagued Seattle over the last several weeks has completely destroyed the downtown business community. And he's not alone. Many Seattle businesses are sure to follow. And so perhaps the single biggest tragedy in all of this is that the very people in areas that thought these riots were going to somehow make their lives better are the ones who are ultimately suffering the most. Thank you, Democratic Party. Now, before you go, you will definitely want to check out my latest video I just uploaded on the latest wave of social media censorship that swept across the internet. I show you precisely why such censorship is only fueling the rise of right-wing populism. You're going to absolutely love it. So make sure to click on the link, and I will see you over there. God bless.